All right, and we are live. Welcome to the BrainDrive weekly development call live stream update. We do these calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, live streamed here on YouTube, and the recordings are posted in our community forums over at community.braindrive.ai. And our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI systems. I'm Dave Waring, and I handle the operations side here at BrainDrive.
And I'm Dave Jones, and I handle the technical side of the operations here at BrainDrive.
So we do these calls every Monday, like I said, to go over progress from the previous week and plan out the coming week. Before we jump into that, for anyone who's new to the call, BrainDrive is an MIT licensed open source personal AI system that is designed around helping you define and reach your goals. We offer three different model settings for your BrainDrive. You can run completely privately using Olama. You can run over 400 cloud-based AI models using OpenRouter, or you can use the BrainDrive model, which is the model that we choose and optimize for you for the best combination of price and performance. This is the easy button. You just add credits and go. And like I said, BrainDrive is built around helping you define and reach your goals. So you go through an interview process for your fitness, for example. As you can see here, I want to lose weight and gain muscle. And I go through and really define what success looks like with my BrainDrive so it can come up with my goals document that really defines what success looks like for me. Make sure I understand that, and also that the AI can has a spec that it can work with me off of to then create a plan for reaching those goals, and then a journaling process where I can come back and update my AI on progress and continue to evolve as I move towards executing and completing those goals. So that's BrainDrive in a nutshell. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dave to update us on the development progress from last week.
Okay, let's go ahead and share the screen because it was a busy week last week, and let's make sure I get the right one, which is that one. There we go. Now, last week, Dave was away, so the mice will play, so to speak. But basically, the first part of the week was V1. We were only one step from being able to wrap that up, and that came down to being able to do tail scale. And what you're looking at is basically my tail scale connection into my Mac, which is basically somewhere else, and I'm able to connect through it just with Tailscale. And you can't see it through here because you do not get access to any of the hardcore settings such as browser access and remote access. However, it's just as quick as you install Tailscale on the system itself, be it a phone, Windows, Ubuntu, it doesn't matter, Mac, and click a button and it automatically configures itself up, and then you can connect. And it was really that simple. Not code wise underneath, but for the user, once I got it working, it was just a click of a button and turned on, and I was able to just move around and just have complete access through Tailscale. Which is what Dave wanted because Dave uses it. So hey, and that's what most people pick as far as any article. Like you always see the articles that are like, oh, something new. But at the end of the day, everything comes back to Tailscale because it is the simplest solution for a majority of the people.
Yeah, and so basically BrainDrive runs locally on your own computer or the host of your choice, but if you are running it locally on your computer, then without something like Tailscale, you have to be at your computer to
Yep.
use your BrainDrive, but with Tailscale, you can now access that computer where your BrainDrive is running from any device that has an internet connection securely. So this allows you to access it from other computers,
Yep.
but probably most importantly means you can take your BrainDrive with you on the go now. And as
Yep.
long as your home computer is on and connected to the internet, you can access your BrainDrive from your phone privately and securely.
Correct. And then once I was finished wrapping that up and got through some specs that I needed to be get done, it was time to my little pet project, which we call the factory. And this is what the factory looks like right now.
Ooh.
It starts right here under projects. Basically, it allows me to either A, put a repo in if I want, if I have an existing project, or if I have a new project, I can just start and go. And I can right now I have my little test project going in, and then I can it's there. I can either A, start a new specification or continue a run if I was running through the process. And while for most systems, they don't really get into continuing runs, but since we do a lot of testing and things of that nature, the ability to go back to a previous run and determine, hey, does this test out the way we wanted to was kind of important. So we'll go ahead and resume the run since I have it in here. And this was a really quick, any coder would know hello world type infrastructure test. And basically it allowed me to create an entire specification of what I wanted to do. Let's get, yep, if we're going to be able to read it. Oh, where am I at? Specification unit succeeded. Okay, I'm still working on a little kinks. This should show you the entire basic specification. And going back in a run, I might have a little viewability issues. So it allows you to, let's say we'll go back to the workflow. Boom. If I went to, we'll just go to a new one. Hello world. I want to say I want to do new specification. This would allow me to put in the specification name, the description that I'm going for. If I wanted to, like in this case, I have reference files already here, and I'll show what they do in a moment. But a lot of times when I'm developing, I don't just have a description of what I'm doing. I have like another spec. I could have an entire library I need to access or something of that nature. And that's where most systems fall short. For me, it's like I need that. And so this allows me to say, hey, for this specification, I want you to have access to these additional files. Let's say we have a bug report. I can give it a screenshot. This is what it's doing right now and describe what I need it to be doing afterwards. So it becomes really a one-stop shop for every solution we're going to need going forward on a factory basis. So let's go back. Can we get change projects? Go here. Go in. Let's go to latest run. Let's see if we're going to play games. Nope. There we go. Basically what I told it to is it's going to be creating a hello world. I told it to grab the colors from this screenshot. That's all I wanted to do. So I could see that it's following instructions that I wanted to do in an image where it could easily get lost. It took, and as you can tell, this was some trial and error, but I do keep track of how many tokens it's costing me, both for the entire project run and the individual run, since tokens are going to be probably the currency in the future. We might as well start checking these things. And this does take into account all my bugs while coding this through. Because this is one of those things, the only way you can really code it is to go through the entire process. And then we get to Hello World. And that's where it really coded it in one shot. And it was able to go through and say, hey, this is the color scheme I want. I want to do Hello World. I want underneath it powered by SpecForge and go from there. So it's really working well. The next thing is getting, just more trial. I want to get BrainDrive in there. Some phantom bugs that I wanted to go in and fix and make sure that it can do everything of that nature. And then I'll teach it to do a little multitasking. But otherwise, it's finally getting everything out of my head into what I wanted to do. And
Cool.
since I do it by hand, it was like that. It has to be able to duplicate me at the end of the day.
Great. Can you go back to the home screen there?
Yep. 1 second. Let me share again. There we go. This is the implementation part. So let's go to where projects are. And this allows you to do whatever you're going to do to here from here at this point.
So this is the factory map on the left side. Is that right?
Yes, I was envisioning it. Now this part, yes, there's still some locked and like that. Initially, I was envisioning just basically a tower, a rack tower of a computers type thing situation. And as you go into different sections, you'll go to sub racks. So that way you can always see what it's doing and it can give you information as it's doing it. And there's no getting lost in the process. What screen was that? You just look. And they also work as buttons when you're inside the entire system as well.
Cool. And how close is this to being used for BrainDrive?
That's going to be that's my next testing is in theory, this codes perfectly now, as well as 5.6 does. The only thing I want to add on to really this initial is selecting the model. Codex has a few models to pick from, the ability to use Claude if somebody, or we desired, because I know you prefer Claude. But for me, it's Codex, so I just coded it in there. And I'm sure there'll be a 5.7 or something like that. So I need to be ready before they get there that I can just switch on a dime.
Cool. So it sounds like lots of progress on the BrainDrive factory last week.
Yeah. We're no longer in hypothetical land. We are into actual testing it out and fixing issues as they come along. That's why it's like initial hello world. And if you can do hello world, in my opinion, you're really close to being able to really execute fixing things on BrainDrive. That's why it's like the important things with reference documents and of that nature, because it's like when you have an issue, you're sending me a screenshot or a description or something, and I need to be able to take that information and have it part of the solution rather than try to figure out some hoc way of getting that to happen.
Cool. Super cool. So yeah, and the tail scale project finishes up our V1 sequencing doc. Let me
Yep.
just bring that up. Give me just 1 second here.
Oh, and while you're going to that, the release process that has been through a few iterations now, not as nearly as fragile as before. So I'm very happy about that. I'm starting to get a little confidence of not only being able to do tests in the environment, but also it just plain works from start to finish now. It actually gets the change logs for me all the way to pushing it on our repo for us.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so let me share the screen here. So this was, basically what we were saying, what we needed to get BrainDrive to like an MVP.
Yep.
And so we now have the desktop and web access.
Yep.
We have the BrainDrive model, which is just the easy button, add credits and go with your interface and your memory still living locally on your computer. We have automatic API key provisioning where you no longer have to get an API key emailed to you. You can now just add credits and go,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is a big deal for Katie Carter, our non-technical persona. We have our spec anchored V1 test build harness operating loop, which this will continue to be developed, but that
Yep.
was also what Dave just showed.
Yep.
So formalizing that. We have our runtime baseline across all of our default surfaces. So these are all the fitness, career, all the individual page specs, your agent, new project, etc. We have those working as spec'd. We have our model evaluation factory
Yep.
done now, where we can run different models through BrainDrive and our different personas and give them a score. And that's how we ended up with GLM 5.2 as the best model for BrainDrive and using in the BrainDrive model. We have our journaling process, which is okay, now you've done your
Yep.
spec, you've aligned on your goals, you've got your plan. Now come back and update with your AI on how you're progressing so you can keep everything up to date and propagated there. And Dave just finished up tail scale mobile access.
Yep. So that's
So
it.
that's everything. So that's pretty exciting because now I think, there's obviously a lot more that we want to do in our roadmap, but now we really have something that I think is very useful. And I would say if you want to partner with AI to define and reach your goals, we're now the best tool to be able to do
Yep.
that with, I think. So that's really what we were going for, and that's very exciting. So now we have to think about what's next. And so I think first we should go to our roadmap, which is public in the BrainDrive GitHub. Oops. And we're building out BrainDrive in five phases. One, an AI system that you own and run. That's what we just showed you. We have that. And now we're in phase two, which is benefit, before moving on to phase three, which is connect, an AI that acts in the world on your behalf. So, we really, I think, now want to maximize the usefulness of
Hmm.
BrainDrive as it operates on your computer, before we move into, okay, now it's going to connect to the
Yeah.
outside world. So that's kind of what we're thinking about here, is what else needs to be done uh, in that regard.
I
Um,
if you're
yeah,
asking me, I got a few ideas that are automatically off the cuff. Is MCP needs to be tightened up so that it can be readily available and useful. In other words, we can start looking at hands then. We used to call them apps, but we went to MCP. But if I had to get specifics as we're dialing on that web search, the ability for any of your projects or anything like that to have access to internet knowledge, even just to, hey, what is, like a good workout routine? You might have an idea of what that is, and it's done by some trainer, and you could easily give the trainer's name and say, "Hey, I'd like something like this, but tailored to me." And that's where you can leverage the search, the AI, the journaling, now having a spec and a goal,
yeah.
and coming
Hey,
up
you
with a
said, do this type of workout. Can you show me a video of that? Yeah, let me
y-
search YouTube and bring that in.
yep. So
Yep.
it's like, especially it's like you can start now tailoring information on the web towards your goal. And that's, I think, where the power of BrainDrive would really start to blossom, not really come alive, because that's when the connections really reach out and start doing stuff for you. But that's that first thing of, okay, now this is for me, and it's going to take information and make it so it's part of my plan. So
Yep.
that would be that
So
would be
I
the
would
big,
say that's a connection, but it's not brain drive. It sort of is brain drive acting on your behalf because it's searching the internet for you.
yeah, yep. Based on
Um,
what you described to it that you wanted to do. So it goes and finds the relevant information versus relying on, was the model trained on X?
right. And we definitely can go out of order. I don't think, I think the roadmap is more of general guidelines,
Yeah.
but I would kind of put that in the connect bucket.
Okay, it might be. Those are just things on the top of my head,
Yeah.
and
Yep. Um, so I think originally what we had, well, here's where I think the dilemma is.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, Local is now a thing. Like, people are talking about open source and local now in a way that this was a very niche topic
Yep,
even 3 months ago. Now there is a lot of people talking about local and open source models.
yep,
So, I think the dilemma here is, right now, BrainDrive really needs it will run it is running an open source
yep,
model as the main default model, but it's too large to run on even tens of thousands of dollars worth of hardware. It really has to be accessed via a model provider,
yep.
which is still a lot better because there's many different model providers that you can go and switch between
Mhm.
and get the same model, unlike if you're using an OpenAI model or an Anthropic model where you're locked in. So you are avoiding that lock-in. Um, but it's a nuance point, right, for a lot of people. It would, from a buzz standpoint, in order to ride the local buzz to the fullest degree, having a local model that does well in BrainDrive for defining, for our basic
Mhm.
spec, plan, and journal
Yep.
would be really cool.
I think it will involve fine tuning, and
Well,
we'll
before we
still,
get
yeah,
into
yeah,
whether or not we should do it,
yeah. I'm not saying we should or
the
shouldn't. I just,
dilemma,
yeah,
right? But then there's like Katie, who, in making BrainDrive as useful as possible.
yep,
And we know even a lot of the local AI enthusiasts, at the end of the day, they are using API based models within their local system,
yep.
right?
I don't let
Because,
anybody fool you on that one.
right,
There's not, you have to be a lotto winner to be doing like the K3, the Kimi threes on your local provider, yeah,
Right.
or your local stuff.
But that may change in the future.
Yep,
You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit of two minds here, right? One one mind would be, hey, let's ride this local buzz. You know what I mean? And I think we can, if we put some energy into it, get a model working for our basic loop,
yep,
which will get us buzz and more credibility in the local community and those types of things. That's one path for the
yep.
next. The other path is let's just continue to add capability, which is going to be much easier to do with API based models anyway.
Yes, yes, because if we went the local route, and even if it involved fine tuning, at some point we could be ahead of the tech curve where we would be wanting it to do something that it just wouldn't be capable of doing yet.
Right.
That will always be a risk right there. The other one, hey, we can get a dozen API models, and I know somebody's going to come out with a new one next week, and they can just do everything right now, and they are spot on as far as what they can provide. The only limit
Right.
to them is cost.
Right. Um, so, um,
And we do have a third option,
which is,
SaaS. I hate to say the ugly word in the room,
yeah,
but SaaS is, hey, I can connect anywhere and I can have everything.
yeah, right. So, um, I think we definitely want to offer a SaaS version of
Yep,
BrainDrive with exit rights to local
yep,
as, a monetization opportunity and also a really value add for Katie, our
yes,
ideal persona who you can run it locally if you want to, or you can run it in the cloud and have all those benefits. Plus, you can always move to local if you want to. We definitely want to do that. My mind right now, though, is sort of like let's make it really useful on the desktop first,
hmm
right? And get and really exciting.
yep,
So people want that, SaaS thing before we build it, right? Like if we
yep.
can't get people excited on the desktop, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got one, I won't call it a problem. There's one speed pump in that philosophy.
Okay.
There are tons of people, and in fact, Katie's, when you get to that group, without a desktop, they
Yeah.
travel on their phone now. That is their
Right.
computer. It's not like when I grew up well, phones weren't a thing back then because you're on a cord. But
Right.
it's like for the longest time, everything's been so focused on a desktop, but now you don't have to have one.
Right.
Everything's available on your phone, and that would almost shut out. That's my only speed bump right there is we cause a divide in who our customers are at that point,
Right. I
or
agree with
users,
that.
or owners.
There's no argument from my side that
Yeah,
we need SaaS. Um, and I could see considering it as it's like, hey, okay, we've got the MVP. Now let's make it available
yep,
everywhere,
yep,
basically. All right, so there's three options. There's for the next step. There's
yep,
make a local model work. There's add the next capability. That's not yet connections, I don't think, because we have to-dos and heartbeat would be the two
yeah,
next, like within your own computer things.
yep.
And also I think they're the next most logical. It's like, okay, I've got my plan. I'm journaling. Now let's make this thing interactive as a coach.
Because in truth, I believe they should come before web search because they will make web search better if they're in place already, and we can as we're doing web search and how it works within BrainDrive, we'll know what our landscape looks like to take advantage of. So
Right.
yeah, I would agree with doing to-dos and heartbeats and getting that landscape in place before we start looking at MCP and expanding the app zone.
A potential exception there, though, is if to-dos should be an app, then that might be a first connection as well. You know
True.
what I mean?
I no
So,
disagreement there because to-dos is like on that line where I could easily see it be that belongs in an app.
right. But basically, I think in terms of adding functionality, heartbeat, which means your brain drive starts checking in with you,
Yep.
um, to do list management, and web search would be the three things that we would be thinking about.
No disagreement with that list at all.
Okay, so we have local model, continue to add capabilities to the desktop version of BrainDrive, and then the third option is a SaaS.
Yep.
Okay. Um, I don't think we should spend a lot of time on local because I think for the near term future, we're going to need, even if we get local working now at the level BrainDrive is now, what we know we want to start doing tool calling and agentic stuff and all of that, and we're just going to continuously run
I
into
think
issues.
local should be almost not an expectation of success, but more a understanding the limitations.
Yeah,
Because if we understand the limitations as they are now, as we see the new local models approaching, we know what we're looking for to go, oh, we have a shot at doing that, and then invest time. Or, okay, is this another dead run of local models and they're not geared
right.
to what we want to accomplish? We know to avoid.
But I do think from a content marketing standpoint, it's a big deal.
But that research is content to me
Yeah,
of
yeah,
how
yeah.
do you understand where does your project belong?
And if we have a local model
Mhm.
that can run like that's, I'd say 14 billion or less.
Ooh.
And or maybe the new mixture of experts, right? The
Yep.
26B, something
Yep.
that will run on a 16 gigabyte MacBook, you know?
Yep.
Um, and it will work just for our interview, spec, plan, and journal, which
Hmm.
is our basic loop.
Yep.
We would have the only true local app that actually does something. Everybody else, they give you local, but it doesn't actually
Yeah.
do everything.
Here's
This
your
would
put
be
your
no,
API key
this
here.
is an application that runs and does something for
Yeah.
you 100% locally, right? And does something cool for you 100% locally.
Are we open to fine tuning?
Okay, um, so so I'm just saying before, just in
Yeah.
terms of reasons to consider
Yep.
local, to me, it's like it's killer from a content marketing
Yep.
standpoint. Okay. Um, it's killer from a buzz standpoint,
Yep.
which is kind of where we are at right now with Brain Drive is we want to start generating some buzz.
Yep.
Okay. Now, um, uh, on the heartbeat and to-do list management side and web search side, to me, these are nice to haves, but not needs to haves in terms of like, I think we have something cool now,
Yep.
especially free and open source
Yep.
to start showing people, and I don't, really until we get 25 people using Brain Drive and want to give us feedback,
Hmm.
I don't really think we need to add a lot more functionality to Brain Drive. Necessarily to, if people aren't excited about the interview spec plan journal process without the to-dos and heartbeat, it's adding
You're
those is not
missing.
going to get them
Yeah.
excited about
Yeah.
it. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Yep.
So, and same thing with web search.
Yeah.
Those to me seem like, okay, we've got people, they're using it this way. We can ask them what they're interested in us adding next and then start adding those features in.
Yep.
Okay. SaaS, um, number one, the thing that I like about it is we know we're going to do it at some point,
Yep.
so it's not, we will need this at some
Yep.
point. There's no doubt. We've been talking about it since the beginning, is
Yep.
having a SaaS that people have exit rights with. This is the WP engine to WordPress, thing without all the drama. um, so, um, so, and I do think, unlike I do think there's no one that I think is going to say, "Hey, I would have loved this, but you have to have the heartbeat in the to-do list,"
Yeah.
and I don't like it because of that. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, I think you're right on this, that are just never going to download a desktop app, and that's just a hurdle that people are not going to go get over. And I think until it was like at first it was like, oh, Docker's too much. And it's like if we only had and then we have it's like, oh, it's just a little too much. You know
I
what I
know I was
mean? It's like,
laughing when you brought that up last week. I was really laughing because it was like this started out with Docker and that what a hurdle that is for
yeah,
Katie. And it's
yeah,
like now because we were talking last week and you're like, they have to install. And I'm like,
yeah,
since when has that
yeah.
became an issue?
And it's super easy,
Yep.
and but
But at the
um,
end of the
and
day,
it's not just install, but they have to run it locally.
yep,
They have to tail scale to have there's it's an on and on and on
yep,
thing. So the SaaS would make that really easy. And you know, I think also another thing that I think uh, is interesting about SaaS is, we really have seen people are really excited to talk about local and everything, but at the end of the day, they're using SaaS
yep,
stuff, right? And having a SaaS with exit rights to local is kind of the best of all worlds
yep.
from that standpoint.
And it keeps to what our pillars were originally. It's, we're not kind of trading anything. It's, hey, you still can one button have all your data. When local models are there, you can move local. There's nothing stopping you. Or
Right.
vice versa. If you're local and you're like, you know what, I don't want to keep, or my wife is using the computer for something else, my husband's using the, take your pick of the argument, and now all of a sudden you can say, hey, I just want to be on a SaaS. I don't want nobody messing with my stuff, and it was up all the time for me.
Okay. All right. So I think what I've taken from this conversation so far, you tell me if you feel differently, is it's between one and three. It's
Yep.
let's work on local as the next thing, or let's work on it's interesting as those two things, kind of the opposite ends of the
They are
spectrum, right?
the
So let's work local or let's work SaaS.
Yep.
SaaS, but with exit rights. So you
Yep.
still own everything and you can move it to your own hardware at any time. If you have feedback on that, we'd love to hear it in the forums or join next week's call. But that's what you'll know. Dave and I will be debating and we'll post in the forums
How that goes.
where we land with that. Is there anything else that we should be considering?
Not that I have thought of through the whole process of going through this week of where it's like we should be landing at for our next one, because it's like I love the local. I always have. I run multiple computers for that aspect, but I know that I'm almost alone on that island. And that's why it's like I had to take a serious look at that SaaS, because there's just too many people without a computer now. They have
Yeah.
a phone and they want all the functionality.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's a SaaS.
Okay. All right, lots to think about there then. Anything so we'll decide. I think, there's just a few things to chew on there before we decide. And then that's going to determine a big chunk of what we're working on this week. For me, either way, I want to keep working on content,
Yep.
So there's lots of content to do now that we have our basic MVP. Um, I posted a second follow up on Reddit that did nowhere near as well, but
It's Reddit.
interesting learnings there. And we're going to
I
continue.
think with Reddit, we're on the wrong community. I have thought about this week. Facebook is our group. I know you have your, because we've talked about this. If there's one thing you probably like a little more than Discord, it's Facebook, but not much.
No, I don't have I have no problem. I don't, there's no objection to me to be on Facebook. I just know Reddit more. I
Yeah.
use Reddit,
I
I don't
love
use
Reddit for as a coder. It really
Yeah,
is rock
I don't.
solid.
There's no objection for me to
Yeah.
be on Facebook.
But
And also, the post that I made, uh, the thing that I, think because we got basically what Dave's taught, we got a ton of views and a ton of comments, and we didn't really get many people signing up for BrainDrive, at least for BrainDrive models.
Yep.
And number one, the post wasn't super about like BrainDrive's ready, go download
Yep.
it because I wanted to not get kicked out of the community
Yeah.
basically, and I wanted to add value for people. Number two, though, and I think this is really the important thing, and probably what you're going for as well with the Facebook groups, is it's not an ownership first sells as a message.
Yep.
It doesn't get anybody to do anything, though. The benefit, it's like, the fact that I can own a house is great, but like
Yeah.
I buy the house because I like the house and
Yeah.
like what it does for me and
Yeah.
stuff.
Exactly.
So I think leading with the ownership and the rah-rah and anti-big tech stuff like generates a lot of buzz. It doesn't generate a lot of usage, where leading with, hey, this is what this can do for you, and you own it
Yep.
is a much better message and
AI
much clearer
assisted
message.
self-improvement.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, so, yeah, I agree with all that.
Yeah, it's just thought like I said, I had a lot too much time in my head this week.
Yeah. All right, cool. So lots to chew on and think about there. We'll be updating in the forums unless there's anything else you want to talk about on the live stream
Nope.
here, Dave.
All good.
Alrighty, so like we said at the beginning of the call, our mission here at BrainDrive is to build a superior user-owned alternative to big tech AI. We do these calls every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern time and post the recordings over on our forums at community.braindrive.ai. We'd love to have you participate in either place in helping us shape the future of BrainDrive and the future of user-owned AI, and we'll see you there.
Have a good one.